What is KiwiSaver? In New Zealand, KiwiSaver is a scheme that helps its members to buy their first home and save up for retirement. If this is the first time you're hearing about KiwiSaver, that is totally fine because we'll talk all about KiwiSaver in this video. So, grab a pen, take some notes. Details up next. On my previous video, I shared some highlights from my citizenship ceremony from a couple of years ago. And recently, I received messages from some of you who shared your good news too. So on that note, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the New Zealand residents who are watching this video. Congratulations! And because of that, I thought this is the best time to talk about KiwiSaver because after all, you can only join KiwiSaver if you are a New Zealand resident who normally lives in New Zealand. So first, some basic facts. KiwiSaver is a saving plan designed to help set you up for retirement, and it also helps you to buy your first home. It is open for New Zealand residents of any age, whether they are working or not. The employee can contribute from 3%, 4%, 6%, 8%, and 10% of their salary. In my experience, when I became a New Zealand resident, I wanted to join the KiwiSaver scheme, so I completed a form called KS2 and I submitted it to my employer. This is the KS2 form that I was talking about, and it actually came as part of my orientation pack. During my time, the government also provided $1,000 to newly opened KiwiSaver account. They are no longer offering that incentive. However, members can still potentially get annual government contributions of up to $521.43, provided that members meet certain requirements. More on that later. For now, just know that by joining KiwiSaver, you as an employee can contribute to a minimum of 3% of your salary, and your employer also contribute minimum 3% towards the scheme, which you can use to save up so you can buy your first home and also savings for your retirement. Now, before we talk about using your KiwiSaver to buy your first home in New Zealand, if you are just meeting, kia ora, my name is Binibining Veronica. I'm the little cup from New Zealand to Australia, helping you organize your new life abroad. So if you're new here, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Salamat po! Now, let's talk about KiwiSaver and buying your first home. So you may be eligible to either withdraw funds from KiwiSaver or receive the first home grant when buying your first home. In order to withdraw funds for your first home, you must be in KiwiSaver for at least 3 years. You can withdraw your contributions, your employer's contributions, the government contribution, interest you have earned, any fee subsidies if you got these. However, you must leave $1,000 on your account, and funds transferred from an Australian complying superannuation scheme cannot be withdrawn. For first-home buyers, they may also be eligible for a first-home grant of up to $10,000 to help with their deposit. However, members should be contributing in KiwiSaver for at least 3 years, and they should meet the income and regional price house cap. So, just to recap. If you've been in KiwiSaver for 3 years, you can withdraw it so you can use it as a deposit for your first home. However, you must leave $1,000 in your account. Also, if you meet the income cap and regional house price cap, you may also be eligible for a first home grant. This means that if you buy an existing home, you can get $1,000 for each of the 3 or more years you've paid into the scheme. The most you can get is $5,000 for 5 or more years. On the other hand, if you buy a new home or land to build on, you can get $2,000 for each of the 3 or more years you've paid into the scheme. The most you can get is $10,000 for 5 or more years. But again, in order to qualify for the first home grant, you must meet the income requirements. So this means in the last 12 months before you apply, you must have earned $95,000 or less before tax if you are an individual buyer, or $150,000 or less before tax for individual buyer with 1 or more dependents, or $150,000 or less before tax for 2 or more buyers, regardless of the number of their dependents. In addition, applicants for the first home grant should also meet the regional house price cap. So, for example, you're thinking of buying a property in Fangaray. If it's an existing property, the price should be under 600,000. Otherwise, if it's a new property, it should be under $800,000 in order to qualify for that first home grant. Also, for your reference, the house price cap shown in this slide is accurate as of May 19, 2022. It may be subjected to changes. The income and regional house price cap gets reviewed from time to time, so it will be best if you refer to 𝐾𝐈SAVER's website. So, how does this apply into practice? When we bought our first home, my husband and I withdrew our KiwiSaver savings, but we had to leave $1,000 on our accounts. We applied for the first home grant because we met the income requirements at that time. However, the property that we purchased is higher than the regional price cap, so we ended up missing on that first home grant. But all is well because our savings and our Kiwisaver withdrawal at that time was enough to make up the 20% deposit that we needed for our first home. By the way, I'm not sure if you want more videos about buying your first home in New Zealand and talking more about government grants, etc. If you do, let me know in the comment section below, and maybe we can talk more about that next time. Next, let's talk about using your KiwiSaver for retirement. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you will know when I upload new videos just like this one. Salamat po! When you join KiwiSaver, other than choosing the percentage of the amount you want to contribute, you can also choose the company who will manage your funds. For example, a bank can manage your KiwiSaver account. I am not endorsing any particular company, and obviously this is not a financial advice. I barely passed my math subjects back in the day, so again, not a financial advice, but I thought this information is really important, so I am sharing this to you. So for example, if it's an ANZ managed KiwiSaver scheme, they have a choice of 6 different funds, and you can choose how your money is invested. Choosing the fund you want will depend on your short or long-term goals. Are you going to withdraw your money in the next 3 to 5 years for your first home, or would you rather save all of that contribution for your retirement once you hit 65 years old? It will also depend on your risk appetite. So, for example, in my experience, after we purchased our first home, I was comfortable to invest my money in assertive, more aggressive funds. However, because of COVID-19, I got a bit scared of all the risk and everything else, so I did switch to a more conservative fund. Speaking of challenges in life, you may also be eligible to withdraw KiwiSaver funds early if you are experiencing financial hardship. Those suffering with financial hardship may be able to access their funds early. In order to apply for early withdrawal for significant financial hardship, the member will need to contact their KiwiSaver scheme provider. So using our example, that would be with ANZ. The member will also be asked to provide evidence that they are suffering significant financial hardship, and if granted, they may be able to withdraw their and their employer's contribution. Significant financial hardship includes when you cannot meet minimum living expenses, cannot pay the mortgage on the home you live in, and your mortgage provider is seeking to enforce the mortgage. Need to modify your home to meet your special needs or those of a dependent family member, need to pay for medical treatment for yourself or a dependent family member, have a serious illness, or need to pay funeral cost of a dependent family member. Now, in terms of actual application, my friends actually tried to withdraw their KiwiSaver funds early, and this was with a different provider, so not with ANZ. However, they were not successful with the application. So I think this request is really reviewed on a case-to-case basis. And like I mentioned, if you get approved to withdraw your funds early because you are experiencing serious financial hardship, you can withdraw your contribution and your employer's contribution, but I think the government contribution stays in that fund. And with that note, let's actually briefly talk about the government contributions. The government contribution is an annual contribution to reward you for growing your KiwiSaver. For every dollar you put into your KiwiSaver account, the government will put in 50 cents and up to a maximum of $521.43 a year. Generally speaking, you'll be eligible to receive the government contribution if you meet the following requirements. you are a contributing KiwiSaver member, you live mainly in New Zealand, you're age 18 or older, and you aren't eligible for a retirement withdrawal. There are a few other edge cases and exceptions that you may need to be aware of, and more detailed information is available in Inland Revenue website, and I will write the link below so that you can check it yourself at your own time. There will also be information about KiwiSaver if you are under 18 years old and if you are self-employed. Question of the day. Knowing what you know now about KiwiSaver, are you keen to join or would you rather not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, you may want to check out my other video on how we bought our first home in New Zealand, or you may want to check out my playlist about settling abroad. As always, I wish you all the best with your journey and I hope you will be blessed. I'll see you soon. Bye!
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to